Intro sentence. Influence. The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini explores the principles and tactics behind why people say yes and how individuals can use this knowledge to become more effective in influencing others. The big idea. The big idea behind influence, the psychology of persuasion, is that there are 6 universal principles of persuasion that guide human behavior: reciprocity, commitment and consistency, social proof, authority, liking, and scarcity. By understanding and harnessing these principles, one can increase their ability to influence and persuade others successfully. Extended core summary. In Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, Robert B. Cialdini explores the mechanisms behind why people say yes and how these principles can be ethically applied in various domains. Cialdini identifies 6 key principles of influence: reciprocity, commitment, social proof, authority, liking, and scarcity. Each principle is supported by psychological studies and real-world examples demonstrating their effectiveness in persuading individuals. The principle of reciprocity suggests that people feel obligated to return favors. Cialdini illustrates this through experiments where participants were more likely to comply with requests after receiving a small gift or favor. Commitment involves getting individuals to commit to a small action, which increases the likelihood of larger commitments later. The foot-in-the-door technique exemplifies this as a method to gain compliance. Social proof indicates that individuals tend to look to others for cues on how to behave, particularly in ambiguous situations. Cialdini discusses the famous bystander effect, where individuals are less likely to help a victim when others are present. The role of authority highlights how individuals are more inclined to follow directives from perceived experts, as shown in Milgram's shocking experiments on obedience. The principle of liking emphasizes that people are more easily influenced by those they like or find attractive. Cialdini shares examples from marketing and sales, where building rapport can significantly increase compliance. Lastly, scarcity taps into the fear of missing out. When an opportunity seems limited, people are more likely to perceive it as valuable. Cialdini's work is not only about understanding these principles, but also about recognizing when they are being used against us. Throughout the book, Cialdini combines psychological research with engaging anecdotes, helping readers to not only grasp the concepts, but also apply them in their own lives. The overarching message is about ethical persuasion and the importance of being aware of these tactics to protect oneself from manipulation. Full detailed summary. Influence. The Psychology of Persuasion introduces readers to the science of why people comply with requests. Robert Cialdini outlines 6 principles of influence, beginning with reciprocity, where giving something creates a sense of indebtedness, encouraging individuals to return favors. The classic experiment involving participants receiving a soda before being asked to buy raffle tickets illustrates how even small gifts can significantly alter people's willingness to comply. Next, Cialdini examines commitment and the psychology behind it. He discusses the foot-in-the-door technique, where obtaining a small initial agreement increases the chances of a larger request being honored later. This principle highlights how self-perception can drive behavior, leading individuals to act in ways that align with their commitments. The book also dives deep into social proof, particularly in situations of uncertainty. Cialdini references the bystander effect, where individuals fail to act in emergencies because they look to others for cues. This principle underscores the powerful influence of group behavior on individual actions, suggesting that people often rely on the actions of others to gauge appropriate behavior. Moving to authority, Cialdini presents studies showing that people are more prone to follow directives from those they view as experts. The famous Milgram experiments exemplify this principle, revealing the extent to which individuals will obey authority figures, even to the point of causing harm to others. Cialdini then explores the principle of liking, explaining that people are more likely to say yes to requests from those they find likable or attractive. This principle has vast implications in sales and marketing, where rapport can be a crucial element in persuading consumers. Finally, the principle of scarcity illustrates how limited availability increases perceived value. Cialdini shares anecdotes from marketing strategies that exploit this principle, such as limited-time offers, which effectively drive demand. Cialdini's work serves as both an educational tool and a cautionary tale, urging readers to recognize these principles in their daily lives to protect themselves from manipulation, while also empowering them to use these strategies ethically. Setting and context. Influence. The Psychology of Persuasion was published in 1984, a time marked by a burgeoning interest in psychology and behavioral economics. The cultural backdrop included a growing consumer culture, with advertising and marketing strategies becoming increasingly sophisticated. The book emerged during an era when understanding human behavior was becoming vital for businesses, politicians, and marketers aiming to influence consumer choices. This context amplifies the stakes of Cialdini's insights, as they provide essential tools for navigating a complex landscape of persuasion and manipulation in a rapidly changing society. Character sketches. Robert B. Cialdini serves as the protagonist, driven by a desire to understand and demystify the forces of persuasion that shape human behavior. His conflict lies in reconciling his fascination with these principles while advocating for ethical use in personal and professional interactions. The antagonist can be seen as the manipulators, marketers, and influencers who exploit these psychological triggers for personal gain, often disregarding the ethical implications of their tactics. Data and evidence snapshot. Cialdini's principles are backed by landmark studies, including Milgram's obedience experiments, which demonstrated the power of authority in influencing behavior. The foot-in-the-door technique, explored through various psychological studies, shows that small commitments lead to larger requests being honored. Anecdotes, such as participants buying more raffle tickets after receiving a soda, illustrate reciprocity's effectiveness. Cialdini emphasizes empirical data, blending psychological research with practical examples to validate his claims about influence and persuasion. Thematic analysis. Ethics of persuasion. Cialdini emphasizes the ethical use of influence strategies, warning readers about the potential for manipulation. Understanding these principles equips individuals to navigate social interactions responsibly and ethically. Human behavior and social dynamics. The exploration of social proof and authority highlights how human behavior is shaped by social dynamics. Cialdini's work illustrates the interplay between individual actions and group influences, revealing essential insights into societal behavior. Awareness and defense against manipulation. A recurring theme is the importance of awareness. By recognizing the principles of influence, individuals can defend themselves against manipulation, making informed decisions rather than falling prey to automatic compliance. Critical perspectives. One major critique of Cialdini's work is that it oversimplifies the complexities of human behavior, suggesting that individuals can be easily categorized into predictable patterns of influence. Critics argue that this approach neglects the nuances of individual differences and situational contexts that shape decision-making. Additionally, some psychologists caution against the ethical implications of using these principles for manipulation, raising concerns about the potential for coercive tactics being employed inappropriately. Critical reception and controversies. Influence has been widely praised for its engaging writing style and practical insights, becoming a staple in psychology and marketing literature. Readers appreciate Cialdini's ability to translate complex research into accessible concepts. However, the book has also sparked debates around the ethics of using such influence techniques, leading to discussions about the fine line between persuasion and manipulation. Critics have raised concerns about the potential for these principles to be exploited unethically in sales and advertising. Real-world applications. Sales techniques. Sales professionals can apply the principles of reciprocity and liking by offering free samples or establishing rapport with clients to increase their success rate. Negotiation strategies. In negotiations, utilizing commitment techniques by getting small agreements can lead to more significant concessions and favorable outcomes. Marketing campaigns. Marketers can create urgency using scarcity by promoting limited-time offers, thereby increasing consumer interest and driving sales. Discussion and debate questions. How do you differentiate between ethical persuasion and manipulation in everyday interactions? In what ways can understanding the principles of influence empower individuals to make better decisions? Can the principles outlined in Cialdini's book be applied to social movements or activism? How? How do cultural differences impact the effectiveness of these influence strategies? What are the implications of these principles in the digital age, particularly with social media influencing behavior? Key takeaways. Reciprocity. People have a tendency to feel obligated to reciprocate when someone does something for them. By first giving something to others, you can increase the likelihood of them saying yes to your requests later on. Commitment and consistency. Once people commit to something or take a stand, they are more likely to follow through with it. By getting others to make small commitments, you can gradually lead them to larger commitments in the future. Social proof. People tend to look to others to guide their decisions and actions. By showcasing that others are already doing something, you can persuade individuals to do the same. Authority. People are more likely to comply with requests from those seen as authorities or experts in a particular field. By establishing your credibility and expertise, you can increase your influence over others. Liking. People are more easily persuaded by those they know, like, and trust. Building rapport and finding commonalities with others can enhance your likability and influence. Scarcity. The principle of scarcity suggests that people are more attracted to things that are limited in availability. By highlighting the unique benefits and limited quantities of something, you can increase its perceived value and desirability. Apply this now. To apply the principles of persuasion from Influence the Psychology of Persuasion. In your daily life, consider the following strategies. When seeking to influence others, start by giving before asking for something in return. This can trigger the reciprocity principle and increase the likelihood of a positive response. Encourage small commitments from others to build consistency and increase their likelihood of complying with larger requests in the future. Use social proof by showcasing testimonials, endorsements, or examples of others who have already benefited from your proposal. Establish your authority and expertise in relevant areas to enhance your credibility and influence over others. Focus on building relationships and finding common ground with individuals to increase your likability and strengthen your persuasive abilities. Create a sense of scarcity around your proposals or offerings to highlight their unique value and prompt others to act quickly. By incorporating these strategies into your interactions and communications, you can become more effective in influencing others and achieving your desired outcomes. Quotes to remember. A powerful quote capturing the book's essence. An insightful line that resonates with the book's theme. A thought-provoking statement from the text.